Hello there. Welcome to the next video in my Jedi 101 series based on my book, Your First Step into a Larger World, An Introduction to Walking the Jedi Path. If you're just joining us, be sure to check out the Jedi 101 playlist, which has the introduction and the previous 2 chapters gone over. Today, we're going on Chapter 3, the Jedi Code. There is no emotion. There is peace. There is no ignorance. There is knowledge. There is no passion. There is serenity. There is no chaos. There is harmony. There is no death. There is the Force. The Jedi Code is a central tenet of the Jedi Path. Though the origins are from the original tabletop Star Wars role-playing game, these 5 stanzas have taught and continue to teach me and many others real truths about what it means to walk the path of a Jedi. The Jedi Code is one of those tools where mere surface reading will not suffice. In fact, the surface reading of the Jedi Code can lead to many mistaken ideas, especially when we see the first line of the Jedi Code, which begins, "There is no emotion." Some have taken that first line and inferred that emotion has no place in the life of a Jedi. Nothing could be further from the truth. The code does not say, "For a Jedi there is no emotion," and it is not an instruction over what a Jedi should not do, but rather an observation on the nature of emotion, with the following lines being observations on the nature of ignorance, passion, chaos, and death. It is not that Jedi do not feel emotions, nor do they ignore or suppress them. The path of the Jedi is one where we practice emotional well-being. If we live by the code, we learn to cultivate peace instead of indulging in emotion, which can range from turmoil to ecstasy. Now, hopefully, extreme poles of emotion are a rarity, but we will experience emotion from moment to moment. We cannot help but to do so. Human beings are emotional beings, and that is a healthy, normal thing. To be a Jedi, it is not so much what you feel, but what you do with your feelings. A Jedi allows emotions to inform their actions, but does not allow emotion to dictate them. Part of the process of not being ruled by our emotional state is to be able to take an approach of non-attachment to what we are feeling. And to seek understanding to what is contributing to our emotional reactions. We do this through the process of self-examination, utilizing the pillars of Jedi strength. As you may have guessed, self-examination takes self-discipline. Through it, we gain knowledge of the contributing factors to our emotional state, and we use the Force, inculcating positive mental traits to turn that knowledge into understanding and giving us something to work with. With the understanding of not only what we are feeling, but the reasons why we have had an emotional response, it allows a clarity of perception that is not clouded by strong emotion. It is this clarity that allows us to go forward with a peaceful resolve. In this place of peace, we can respond intentionally to what is before us instead of reacting to how we feel. The second line of the code teaches us the importance of knowledge over ignorance. A Jedi's life is one of constant learning. One of the most dangerous things to be ignorant of is our own ignorance. It is important to be aware of what we do not know. This may present the classic Socratic paradox of knowing that we know nothing, but it is in fact the beginning of all knowledge. Once again, we rely on the pillars of Jedi strength and self-examination to find areas where we are lacking so that we may address the lack. A further application of this line of code is to allow ourselves not to become so certain of a thing that we are not open to the idea that we may be mistaken. We may become aware of new evidence or a new way of looking at something subjective. When this happens, not only is it all right to change our views, it is the correct action to take. Rigidity of thought and the attachment to what we believe can be a hindrance to learning and being able to obtain knowledge. A Jedi should be able to let go of many things, and among them, absolute certainty. The belief that we cannot be wrong about a thing is not only harmful, it can be dangerous. It squelches the ability to respect the plurality of views in others. The road of absolute certainty leads to intolerance, which in turn leads to the suffering of others. If we keep in mind that we are connected to those around us through the Force, we must allow for others to seek their happiness, even if it is a way that we would not seek it for ourselves. Part of knowledge, or importantly self-knowledge, is an awareness of the biases we carry within ourselves. Of the strongest of these is confirmation bias. This is when we become attached to an idea and we pay attention to facts that confirm this idea while dismissing those facts that do not. Because of this, it is important for a Jedi to remain open to things that may change their mind. We need to be able to let go of our biases so we may see the path before us clearly. We discover them through self-examination and meditation. While it may never be possible to rid one of all biases, we must continue to strive to be aware of them. Because of our biases, we must be wary of the idea of being completely objective. Our life experiences color our perceptions, and we must strive for empathy when it comes to viewpoints that differ from ours. Many things beyond our control will contribute to our worldviews and to the worldviews of others we may encounter. Well, if an experience is different from what we know, our first instinct might be to dismiss it or look at it with incredulity. An empathetic response is to believe that the related experiences of others, even if we did not experience it ourselves. It is in the recognition of the experience and views of others that we can engender compassion and empathy and grow our knowledge about this world we share. We must be able to let go of our idea of how things are for us is how they are for everyone. This world is a diverse place, and while we may understand our place in it, we must be mindful of the place of others. Sorry, pardon me. Not going to edit. We overcome our ignorance by learning, by seeking out and acquiring new knowledge. We seek out not only facts, but experiences, our own and those of others. Knowledge outside of our own experiences fosters a connection with those around us. When we step outside our ignorance, we realize our connection to those around us, even those distant in both space and experience. It is through this connection that we experience the Force, not just from within ourselves, but in those we encounter and share this world with. We seek to improve ourselves with knowledge, and in so doing, affect a positive influence on the world. The third line of the code begins, "There is no passion." But that is not to say that passion does not exist in a Jedi's life. I have found one needs a certain drive if one is going to sustain the training in the ways of the Jedi. What this line is saying is that when you encounter passion, a Jedi meets it with serenity. While it is good to be excited and energetic about things in your life, we must temper our passions so they do not overwhelm us and burn us out. A passion unhampered by serenity is unsustainable. In fact, the word passion has its roots in a word that means suffering. And when we indulge in our passions, it can lead to the detriment of other areas of our life. There can be a limited utility to passion, but it comes at a cost. While passion can affect change, by indulging in such a strong emotion, it essentially becomes self-serving. Sustained passion will have a draining effect, constantly needing to be fed, where cultivating compassionate serenity will have a sustaining effect. It is as if emotions can have inertia, where passion can be very quick and very fast, but at the same time, it can be just as quick to halt in its track. Compassionate serenity may take more initial effort to start. Once it gets moving, it takes very little effort to keep it in motion. By cultivating serenity, we can focus our drive and accomplish great things. Another facet to serenity is the attitude of graceful acceptance. There may be things that we all have a strong reaction to, things we do not like at all. However, if it is not within our abilities to address these things, cultivating serenity will allow us to accept it. We should be able to have the wisdom to know just where to place our energies. When we are serene, we will not be driven in a wrong direction by strong passions. Passions cause us to react rather than respond. If we do not calmly take into consideration things as they present themselves, we run the risk of acting in such a way that can make things worse rather than better. By meeting passion with serenity, we can more clearly see the way forward instead of being blinded to the right course of action. It was a student of mine that has given me the greatest insight into the fourth line of the Jedi Code. There is no chaos, there is harmony. She said, "A note cannot harmonize to itself." This speaks to an essential quality of harmony, that there are other elements, other people that we have no control over, which we must blend and work with smoothly to avoid chaos. When I train in Aikido, one of the exercises is called a randori. In my school, this is done usually with 3 people simultaneously attacking a single person who meets the attackers and performs an Aikido technique, quickly moving between attackers. I was once told by my teacher that Randori can translate to Dance of Chaos. Meeting chaos with harmony does not mean standing still, calm in the center of the storm, and letting things happen around you. Rather, it means dancing with the storm, entering into it, and transforming an external chaotic interaction into cooperation. One has to move in such a way that accepts what is before them and guides these things into a balanced direction. One does not move apart from chaos. One moves with it. The final line of the Jedi Code is another one instance where the surface reading is quite different than what we see by digging a little deeper. Discovering the foundation of what the code says, while it is good to know what the code says and how to apply it, much better it is to know why the code says what it does. The surface reading of "there is no death, there is the Force" seems to imply a Jedi belief in the afterlife. And indeed, many Jedi do have personal beliefs about such a thing. But as Jedi, we are more interested in attitudes than we are in beliefs. It is easy to read into this line that we are saying death is not an end for the individual that died, but it only appears so if you think each stanza of the code stands on its own instead of how they all relate together. It would be foolish to deny that emotion, ignorance, passion, and chaos do not actually exist. Likewise, how foolish would it be to deny the existence of death? There is no cheat code available to any human to avoid this particular endpoint. So when we encounter death, we do so as Jedi by using the Force. Death is usually associated with sorrow, but by inculcating the positive mental traits of a Jedi with time and work, we can transform that sorrow into wisdom. My understanding of the Jedi Code in broad strokes is not to deny the existence of emotion, ignorance, passion, chaos, and death, but more as a guide as to what to greet these 5 things with when I encounter them. And I will encounter them not only in others, but within myself. The code is a guide, a map, if you will, that I carry constantly inside of me. In the beginning of walking the Jedi Path, we will learn the Jedi Code and what it says, and how to apply it to our lives. The study of the Jedi Code is something many Jedi, including myself, have devoted years to doing. While its origins are firmly rooted in a guide designed to help people pretend to be Jedi, the utility of these 5 stanzas have helped people for a generation to actually be Jedi. The code seems simple on the surface, but through study, I, and Jedi like me, have found underlying structures that hold up the code and support the Jedi path waiting beneath the surface. As you sit with the code, study the code, and live the code, your understanding will grow from what the code says to how to apply the code to your life, to understanding why the code says what it does. This will be a very personal integration of this teaching into your life, and one that I have every confidence that with sincere effort you will achieve in time. Cultivate patience during this process and trust in your training. This is something that cannot be handed to you, but with sustained effort, it will become integrated into your path and into your very being. In time, we will make the transition from the code being something we do to the code being something we are. Okay, I'm going to take a break. I need a bit of a breather, but I will be back with my commentary 5 years later. Okay, I'm back. Took a little breather. Like I said in my introduction video, again, if you haven't watched this from the beginning, find the Jedi 101 playlist on my channel. That I'm having a bit of health issues, as you can see by my new accessory. Things have progressed in that area. So this was a long chapter, so it took a lot. Okay, Jedi Code. 5 years on since I wrote this chapter. Let me think. As an introduction to the code, it still works, and this is what it is. Because we can talk about the Jedi Code for hours and hours, and every Jedi will have a slightly different opinion on it. If you want, you can look on Jedi Living's YouTube channel for videos on the Jedi Code, some of which I participated in, um, where we talk about the code uh, at length. So this is not the forum for that. This is just an introduction. If you want to dig into that, that'd be fine. If you want to pop into my Discord server, I'd be happy to have discussions with you about the code or any other Jedi topic. But for this video, we'll leave it as is. My view of the code has remained close to what's in the book. Close. It's the last line that has changed the most. As I wrote this chapter, I wrote this book before I got sick. Before before I had to really look at my mortality very closely. You know, there is no death, there is the Force. At the 2018 California Jedi Gathering, I did present a workshop on grief and dying and the Jedi response to grief and dying. Because I think if we're going to tackle such a weighty topic as that and call ourselves Jedi, we should approach grief and dying as Jedi. But that's, that's a whole other discussion. It's timely for me personally because of news that I got yesterday at the doctor. So anyway, so let's just say there's a little bit more of an urgency to get this series finished now than there was yesterday. So that's it for chapter 3, the Jedi Code. I hope to see you again soon. Thank you to my subscribers for subscribing. Thank you to my viewers. It's been a great first experience at running a themed YouTube channel. I mean, I got my own YouTube channel with just random videos. This is the first branded YouTube channel. I thank you for your support, and I will see you next video.